When I was 16 years old, I was working in a Goodyear tire store, and my boss actually built an old dirt car, street stock Monte Carlo. Went with him one night, fell in love with it. It was a hell of a race, hell of a party, and a big fight afterwards. I was like, this is it. This is it for me. It wasn't long after that, I was driving an old 78 Camaro out of the weeds at that guy's farm. We pulled that thing out and made a race car out of it, and away we went. You know, I think a driver has more to do with the equation going back and racing dirt, whether it's a modified, a late model. You can do more with the race car. You know, the harder you drive it, a lot of times, the better it goes. You can crawl up on that wheel and feel like you made the difference at the end of the night. Asphalt car, you can't overdrive them. Well, that was the first thing that I had to learn right off the bat is, oh my gosh, I've got to discipline myself, not overdrive this thing, and that's how you get the most out of it. Truth be told, communicating the right information to your crew and your crew chief so they can do their job and make their appropriate adjustments for you to go faster and do your job is probably 90% of the game in our world. I've always loved late models. You know, my dream was to be a late model driver driving for a living across the country like Daryl and Don do that drive for me. I mean, that was, truth be told, that was my dream, you know. I always wanted a semi. I always wanted a stacker trailer with 2 hot rods in it and let's go racing. Let's take off with your buddies and go race and chase that dream. Never in a million years did I think it would turn into a Cup Series, and I actually have an opportunity to own 2 you know, dirt late model teams. When you think of iRacing, you don't think of a video game. It's not. It's way above and beyond any of that. You know, dirt racing changes so much. The track changes so much. Being able to capture that, to, you know, experience all those details that surround dirt racing and make dirt racing what it is what makes iRacing so cool, because they did nail all of that. I knew when they came to our shop and scanned cars and went to the detail of getting that car right, I knew that it was going to be over the top, because it blew my mind just the work that went into making sure the car itself was legit. This sport has been around a long time. The competition can't be replaced, and that's what brings people back to the racetrack week in and week out.
The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
live tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. LSRTV happy to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to our continuing coverage of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. We're happy to be with you tonight for week number 5 on this 2017-18 campaign. I'd want to say hi to all of those tuning in with us as well on Facebook Live and on Twitch as we welcome you topside into the LSRTV booth. As always, myself, Evan Kosoko, and Austin Coop going to be topside with you. Cisco Scarabooz has got a headset on as well. He's downstairs twisted and tweaking at aisles and bringing us to you this evening. And Coop, we come off of what was the Cars Esport Tour as of just 1 week ago, but back with this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Have to look back to round number 4. Very different than what we had seen the week prior. On week 3, we had 6 races, 6 different winners. Last time out, 5 races, 1 winner. Matt Cucker swept the evening top to bottom, and that got a lot of people upset. So he's got, I think, an even more so bigger target on his back tonight than he normally has had.
Yeah, and he won't be in the first race tonight as we've got the Chargers, or at least that's what it looks like at the moment. And he did, I do believe he did run in the Chargers, so either he's going to show up and just hasn't showed up yet, or he's not going to race today, which is, you know, you'll see that, you know, in your local short track that, you know, certain times, certain weeks it's just not able for them to come out. But you know, we still got a good showing of 10 cars right here in the first Chargers race. They're going to be racing twice. It's going to be basically it's going to be dual night for the Chargers and the Minis. Or twin night, sorry, for the Chargers and the Minis, and you've got street stocks, and we've got the Legends tonight as well. We've got a little bit of everything, and these are going to be nice short runs, typically 25, 20 to 30 laps that these guys are going to run, and it's going to be, each race is going to probably go by pretty quick, and I think we can expect them to be really feisty tonight.
It is going to be quite different than most nights. The feature series, the big guys, if you will, not at action tonight. No late models and no super trucks. So we do have 2 Chargers division features tonight, and those are both going to be 25 lap main events. 2 midi stock features at 20 apiece, and then a 25 lap Legends division main event. First time the Legends, by the way, going to be out with us since I believe the opening week, the first ever race in this Championship Esports Association of Myrtle Beach Simulation Series was in the Legends cars back on week 1, and Christian Peterson took the win in those, so happy to have the Legends back with us tonight. And then the Street Stomp's going to be back on track for 30 laps as well. And Cisco, because we don't have some of those more main divisions, if you will, and the support series really get the spotlight tonight, it means 6 races, so 1 more than I think the average tends to be here, but it also means that all these races are going to be really short. Yeah, a 50-lap late model race isn't that long either, but no race tonight goes over 30 laps, so it's going to be a long night of very short, quick races top to bottom, and having another opportunity for maybe the guys who look at some of these mini stocks and Chargers divisions as their best opportunity to grab points, and maybe tonight is their opportunity to shine as we head to week 5.
And of course they have that opportunity, Evan, because Matt Cucker, the guy who has been, well, he's been on fire this whole season here at CEA, he's not here tonight. So that makes it a little bit easier for these guys. They don't have to worry about the 69 coming and blowing the doors off everybody. So no Matt Cucker tonight, but still a Jeremy Adams, still a Jacob Porter, a bunch of guys in this field to watch tonight. And the Chargers on track first. Of course, they look like late models, but they don't drive them.
They are heavily modified to change how these things zip around this Myrtle Beach Speedway. That is going to be obviously critical as the night goes on. And these Chargers are going to get the night kicked off. Let's talk real quick about Chargers points into tonight. Matt Cucker is at the top of the Chargers Division Championship. He won both Chargers Division features back on week number 4. Not here tonight. Could give an opportunity for somebody like Jeremy Adams to close in, who into tonight only sits 5 points behind Cocker, and if Cocker doesn't make a start, it could be left to Adams to assume the championship lead. But we're going to go race it for the first of our two Chargers 25-lap main events on the evening. So let's go trackside and take a look at your LSRTV starting grid. It is going to be that second place at a championship, and as long as he gets a solid finish in this one, would become your new championship leader. Jeremy Adams will bring us to the green flag. His 25.13 bested up for qualifying on the pole. He also bested the practice session a little bit earlier on tonight. Jacob Porter will roll off at the outside of the front row, starting in second position. Back of row number 2, Nathan Hurlburt to the inside in third. Chris Patton to the outside in fourth. And Richard Reagan Jr. rounds out your top 5.
Then you've got Rafe Slate. He'll start in the 6th position. Then you've got David Killow. He'll start 7th. 8th position will have Tanner Cook starting there. Then you've got DJ Beverly and Robbie Bunden starting 9th and 10th for the 10-car field tonight in this Chargers division.
And it's a look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. This D-shaped oval, the Myrtle Beach Speedway, clocking in at just a little bit over a half a mile in length at 0.538 of a mile every single time around this joint. 25 laps is kind of in the middle. I mean, we are going to see tonight 20-lap main events in the mini stocks, and the longest is going to be 30. So this series kind of fits right into the middle of all of that. And when you're looking at lap times, once we get some wear on these tires, and excluding I think everybody in Q, at least 1st through 10th, yeah, down into the 22nd bracket, but you're going to be looking at maybe 22 to 23 second lap times to get around this place. You are going to have some time to be able to fight, but really I think you need to get a good jump right off of the start if you want to be in a battle for those top 5 spots.
Yeah, I gotta say that the speed with those first two cars, Jeremy Adams and Jacob Porter, I have a good feeling that they're probably gonna pull away from the rest of the field, and then the rest of the field, they're gonna probably work real hard at it, really. They're gonna work on each other quite. I'd say probably most of the race, just trying to feel how it is, but those front two, they've got really fast times. They're 2 tenths, a tenth and a half ahead of everybody else, and that's if they had their best laps, if everyone did. But it could be that some of these guys had good or bad runs, so that's just going to be part of the game whenever it comes down to the wire, who's actually got it in the race, and that's what matters the most.
Pace car is going to bring the field around this time, and once that iRacing.com official pace car jumps down to the pit lane, the Chargers are going to get underway tonight as we kick off week number 5 of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. We're happy that you're spending your Wednesday evening with us on LSRTV at iRacing Live, and of course broadcasted as well over on Facebook Live and Twitch.tv. Want to say hi to everybody joining us over there as well. The pace cars drop down at it, and Jeremy Adams going to look to get a Chargers division win for the first time this season. It's only ever been Matt Cocker in this division. A first-time winner guaranteed tonight as we go green.
Good start on the outside, yeah, right here. Jacob Porter on the outside. He's going to get a good run right here on the back stretch. And like I said, those front two guys are really hooked up in practice and qualifying. You can expect them to run really, really fast here as they're going 3 wide there in turn number 4.
3-1, and the one machine got squeezed out just a tad bit there. Patton going to drop back a couple of spots off at the start of this thing and leave the 40 and the 98 to fight, but a battle for the race lead continues as Adams successfully defends Porter. That 3-shot for Cisco put up a good fight for the opening lap. Inside, though, place to be for Adams as he clears now and holds by a car length and change.
Yeah, and Jacob Porter just got a little bit loose as well, fighting for that second place, fell off a little bit, and that means the battle's going to be on for third. Richard Reagan Jr. looks a little bit of a punt to the right rear. The 28 and Nathan Hurlburt down back into turn number 3. Rafe Slade right alongside, and now Reagan going to go to the outside of that driver, the 28, side by side across the line. 3 wide for a moment, but the 40 may have it. He slams the door right there on the driver, and around goes the 28.
Into turn number 1, caution flag is going to fly. In a battle that was for 4th position, Hurlburt had it, and an 98 machine had flashed the nose that entire time down the front. Never really had the positioning though, and then committed to it. I don't think that Hurlburt didn't see him down there. It's not like he came across the nose. I think maybe he just wasn't leaving as much room as he thought he had been. Chopped down a little bit on him, and he ended up being the one to go around. I think that Slate did have the positioning on the inside. The good news, if any, for Hurlburt Coop, very minor damage aside from the contact to the right rear quarter panel of that car. He's going to get it back rolling. Will obviously drop to the back of the pack, but considering for some of the incidents that we've seen this season where drivers have ended up on their lids, it could be worse. And if you have to, I guess I should say, be in an incident at any point in the night, I'd take top 5 laps over later on.
Oh yeah, the only thing he's really got to worry about is just those tires. You know, he's got that right rear damage from earlier. He may have a little bit of left rear as well, and I'm seeing the LSRTV replay coming, getting fed to us here, and yeah, it doesn't really look really that bad. You know, we're gonna get the cone here coming soon, so maybe he'll be able to benefit off that, and you know, he will still be in front of Rafe Slate, and that'll put him in 8th position as DJ Beverly was not able to get up on the track today.
Cone car going to be out of the racetrack this time. Adams was able to hold off Porter on that side-by-side battle for the race lead bottom the last time, so he'll take the inside once again. Porter going to go top side. Reagan in 3rd to the bottom. The number 96 machine of Tanner Cook, though, going to assume the outside of row number 2 from 5th because the 27 of David Kello, 4th, did decide to stay on the inside of the racetrack, and he ends up 3rd in line on the bottom, as opposed to the typical way that you would line up with guys single file on the inside and to the outside of the racetrack. Pace car back off and away. The 89 into number 3 on the front row once more. A little bit of encouragement from Reagan. Adams holds off. Now he goes as the green flag flies at lap 7, and it will not be a battle for the race this time. Adams is clear, and here comes the 40 of Reagan for a second.
And we've been seeing Reagan get better and better every single week. I've been watching Reagan, and every single week he just gets better and better. It's really cool to see. He's really loose in the corners, though. So really got to watch him. I mean, he was absolutely sideways off that corner. So was Tanner Cook coming off that last corner. And you remember how these cars were last week, and it looks like Robbie Button's going to lose it off of turn number 2 right there. So just these cars are very, very loose. They like to jump out at you in the middle of the corner, and we're definitely seeing that with almost all the drivers right now.
And that's what makes this Chargers division the Chargers division, is these heavily modified, what look like late models, and they are late models. It's the same car that you'll see guys drive it on in the Blue Ridge Napa late model division. Not in action tonight, but obviously the setups make these things drive very different, and you can see everybody kind of tiptoed it around the racetrack, even in the side-by-side fights for 2nd and 4th. You can see the drivers specifically on the bottom of the racetrack really trying to work their way around and struggling to get back to the gas. Look at the challenge for P2, though, not shying away from being aggressive.
No, he was right there, and if Porter made a mistake, then Porter would have to face the consequences of getting a rear bumper full of Reggie Reagan's front bumper. And there's out of shape of these cars that are getting, I'd say that'd be not such a good scenario for Jacob Porter. And 2 different lines that you're seeing. It looks like what these guys are doing, the first 2 drivers, Adams and Porter, they're pretty much diving it in and then getting on it, and they're not getting loose. These guys are actually backing up their corners. They appear to actually be getting looser more often, just because of the fact that they will be putting pressure on the back of their car more often. So it's really interesting to see. It's kind of the opposite what you would normally think of if you're getting loose, is just, or if you're getting tight, just to go later in the corner. But yeah, these Chargers, with the way that they have, it's making it really difficult for these guys, as always, to keep a hold of it.
And this is all obviously behind Jeremy Adams. He had finished 2nd, bidding at time to Matt Cucker. These Chargers have been in action 3 times this season already. Once in week number 2, and then they had their double features, just as they will tonight. 2 weeks ago for week number 4, Matt Cucker has won all 3 Chargers Division main events. Came into tonight leading in the Chargers Division, and Adams into the number 2 spot in the championship. Obviously now 1.3 seconds out in front of Porter P2 and Reagan P3. 3 should be able to, if he can maintain his position now and at least just get a solid result in the second one, assume the top spot, as Cocker is not here yet on week number 5.
Yeah, we just got 10 laps to go that last time by, so that just shows you that these guys really don't have that much time. With the twin, it makes it basically 50 laps that these Chargers are going to be on the track, but right now they've got to work in the daylight. They've got to really get towards to their objective, which is getting the next guy. Of course, Jeremy Adams doesn't have to worry about that. He just has to worry about being consistent, but Porter's doing a really good job of holding off Richard Reagan right now. Richard is doing a good job of just keeping him right there. That car is absolutely sideways right there at a number 2, and man, he doesn't really have that much pressure from Tanner Cook from behind, but Tanner Cook is coming ever so quickly, and you can see the 96, he is starting to come into the picture right here.
The battle for 4th position, which went side by side for a good couple of laps, in which that 96 was able to successfully hold off David Akella, who has fallen back a little bit in 5th. So it really now becomes a 3-way fight for 2nd on the racetrack. Obviously, I don't think these drivers in a position to mount any sort of a late race charge up to Adams, but them fighting for 2nd is going to give that 89 just that much more added reinforcement in his ability to kind of take it easy, not put himself in an uncomfortable position. And speaking of which, Cook sideways at a 4. Fantastic save. As you can tell, he's digging, trying to get up to the 40.
That was an amazing save, and you know he does a dirt track racing at his hometown and Weiss Speedway, and my gosh, it was almost like he was there for just a little bit. So he's still there. He's absolutely sideways. He almost hit the wall again, but you know he's been winning a lot in that series, so I think he maybe tried to do it. Meanwhile, up front, in front of him, 40 Richard Reagan, he's going to almost pass Porter. He got really loose off the corner, so he had to back off just a tiny bit. Porter's back on the outside. This is a good fight. And by the way, we are under 5 laps to go with that last lap.
And look at the 40 really struggling into 3, trying to make the racetrack as wide as he can into the fence. Almost came back down into Reagan. And it looks like the 40 is going to finally clear. Yes, he does. Moving into 2nd. Coming this time by to take 3 laps to go. Does the 3. Try to get back at him. Close swipe to the bumper that time. But the 40 is really wheeling it.
Knowing Jacob Porter, he may actually do it. He may actually give him the chrome horn before it's all over. So we don't only have a few more laps to go, but he's got a run right here. He might try the bottom side here in turn number 3. He's going to go to the bottom, and he'll see what he has. He hits that sand right there. It's not really the best place to be, but Reagan gets a little loose on the outside, gets a little wiggly, and he's got himself a little bit of an advantage going here into 1.
And on the inside, slides high, the 40 defensive, and it looks like Porter's going to get the spot back. They will again swap out 2nd and 3rd. Cook still sits to the back end. Now everybody push it in 3 and 4 as Jeremy Adams out in front takes white flag. Lap traffic in front of the number 89 machine not going to be a factor as they go side by side for 3rd behind. Cook digging for that spot. It's going to come all the way down to the wire, but Jeremy Adams first win since week 3 and his first in the Chargers division. He takes the checker in feature race 1 tonight for week number 5. The battle behind Porter P2, and the 40 Reagan hangs on for 3rd in front of Tanner Cook.
Yeah, Tanner Cook just dug just a little bit too much right there, and so he wasn't able to get the position over Reagan, but that was really fun to watch those guys. It wasn't as fun for Jeremy Adams, I'm sure, but winning, I think, is probably the most fun that he can have. Just didn't get the battle, just didn't really have to battle anyone to do it, but he did have a really fast car in practice, so it only makes sense that he was able to do so well in the race.
Successful job. The interval at the end of it all is going to end up at 2.2 seconds in favor of the number 89 machine. Let's take a look top to bottom on the score leader pylon at your LSRTV full race results for tonight's first race of 6, but also the first Chargers division race of 2 on the night. After 25 laps, Adams gets it by 2.2 seconds over Jacob Porter, as we noted, who came home in the number 2 position. Richard Reagan Jr. manages to defend 3rd. Tanner Cook is able to pick up as your biggest mover tonight to a race high P4 when it was all said and done, and Rafe Slate rounds out your top 5.
David Killow finishes out the race in 6th place. You've got Chris Patton, who fell a little bit, as well as Nathan Hurlbert, who got spun out for the only caution. They finished 7th and 8th, and Robbie Bunnan had a self-spin, which did not bring a caution out, and he would finish 9th, and DJ Beverly did not start the race.
See if we can catch up with the driver of the number 88 Autobus down in Victory Lane. Jeremy Adams, your Chargers Race 1 winner tonight for week number 5. Jeremy, congratulations on the win. You guys have been pretty good in these things all season, but Matt had been able to take home all the wins in these things so far to this point. He didn't make a start here tonight so far, and you guys had the dominant car. Best at practice, best in Q, and to 2.2 seconds, best in the race.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, these things are a handful to drive. I don't know, they're really weird to drive. So I think I kind of figured something out on the bottom. You just kind of got to drive it in straight and keep it on the bottom and let it roll. But yeah, Matt couldn't make it tonight. I wish he was here. I'd like to beat him. I'm going to beat him the next race he's in, hopefully. So, yeah.
We saw a lot of people, obviously, as you noted, they're struggling with the handling in these cars, the way the Chargers are set up. You're being out in front of this one. Did that allow you almost to take it easier to be able to experiment with that? Because there was a late race battle there watching Porter and Reagan go back-to-back for 2nd and 3rd. The 40 was able to make a pass with about 5 to go, but then because he was making mistakes trying to run away, Porter was able to get back to him and pass him back. So were you taking it easy out front, knowing that you had a couple of seconds and you really didn't need to put yourself in a situation where maybe you end up getting out of control on your own accord and you kind of throw it away?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I kind of hit the wall there once when I kind of decided I'd try to push it a lap. I kind of drifted up into the wall coming off 4, so I decided to not do that again, and I just try to run consistent laps just to not give any more time back to them.
It ends up being just a crinkle on the right rear quarter panel. You put the Global Comp machine in Victory Lane tonight for the first of many. Who do you want to say thanks to?
Thanks to all my team, you guys for broadcasting, Barnes for putting it on. It's fun. Appreciate everybody.
We got a lot more racing coming up, including these Chargers a second time around later on in the evening, so we'll let you get to it. Jeremy, as always, congratulations. Thanks for chatting. Best of luck. We'll see you soon.
All right, appreciate it.
That is the driver of the number 80 Honda machine, Jeremy Adams, your Chargers Division Race 1 winner tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Still 5 races to go tonight on this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. So we'll step aside, and when we come back, the mini stocks return to Myrtle Beach. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Championship Esports Association's Myrtle Beach Simulation Series on iRacing Live, as well streaming on Facebook Live and Twitch. We'll be back in a moment for our second feature on the evening.
I actually, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, 3 wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Garrett Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that I had never been. So I think it kind of gives you a head start leading into a weekend. it's pretty real life, and that's pretty neat.
Welcome back live to the Myrtle Beach Speedway as coverage of Week 5 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association continues. Happy that you're spending the evening with us. Just saw Jeremy Adams take home the checkered flag. First time for him in the Chargers division on this 2017-18 campaign. First win as well for him since he took home a checkered flag at the straight stocks back on week number 3. And we transitioned into our second event on tonight and the second division that will have 2 twin main events. The Chargers, as noted, will be back in a little bit, Coop, for another 25-lap main event, the second to last one on tonight. But happy to have back with us the mini stocks. We saw them just a week ago, and it was Richard Reagan Jr. and Tommy Ryan who took home the wins in those cars back on week number 3. And the back here for this one going to be 2 twin 20-lap main events right now, and then they will actually end off the evening in sometimes, and I think I would put this division right out there with the U cars as some of the funnest to watch. Taking a look at the warm-up session, going to draw to a close. Again, these drivers qualify for these events in advance. And that happens all before the TV cameras come on over the course of the day. Just like it is at the short track, it is a full day of racing action for these drivers. And the on-track action that you see as we load in takes place in the warm-up session. So as per qualifying earlier on today, Tommy Ryan will start from pole position with a 22.335. These cars get around this joint about 2 seconds slower per lap than what we saw in the Chargers division a little bit earlier on. Jody Green, familiar face, at number 13. Will join the 6 on the front row and roll off in second. Ricky Harden and Matthew Tucker going to make up row 2. They start third and fourth respectively, with DJ Beverly in fifth. David Messier going to be in the number 6 spot as well tonight. Joshua King will start from 7th. Winner in these things as of a week ago at 8th position. Nathan Hurlburt is 9th. And the final driver, and the only driver, I guess I should note, that does not take a qualifying time, started based on a provisional and rounded out your field here tonight. Outside row number 5 in P10 is Randy Yoakum. Championship standings for these mini stocks into tonight have Ricky Harden at the top of the championship standings without a win, mind you. Tommy Ryan sits second at a point, 7 points back. James Carhula is 16 back in third. Matthew Tucker and Kenneth Askew, the top 5 drivers in the mini stocks this evening. And because it is a twin main event, there will be an invert, just as we'll see in the Chargers a little bit later on. Those who get the top X amount of positions in this first event then going to be reversed. So if the number happens to be 5, winner in this race would start 5th for the second one, 5th would start 1st, and 6th on back would be the regular finishing position. So that is something noteworthy. It is a little bit different than doing an invert in the middle of a race. I don't think there's much incentive for somebody to sandbag in this race to get a better qualifying position in the second one. So we fully expect, as these Mazda MX-5s get off and get going, for everybody to be up on the accelerator right from the drop of the green flag. The pace car down and in, 20 laps for the first time tonight in the mini stocks division. Tommy Ryan going to be in control, and he's joined by that bright orange number 13 of Jody Green on the outside of the front row. American Ethanol, green flag flies. Side-by-side battle, going to continue through turn number 2. Jody Green can only do so much, though, really loose in a corner, and it's going to give Ryan the spot up on the outside of the racetrack. He got now 3 wide behind as the 43 of Tucker slides way high, but the 13 of Green not giving up. Ryan still on the bottom of the racetrack. The 15 right there in 3rd position, Ricky Harden, not really committing to either or line. He gets right up on the back of Green. A little bit of contact between those two that time at a quarter number 2, but Jody Green will not give up on the outside of the racetrack, and the position for the race lead finally back in favor of Tommy Ryan. We'll see if Green can go for the crossover. Look low that time, not willing to commit to it, and now the 6 looks to pull away.
Yeah, look at those guys side by side for the position for second now. Ricky Harden on the outside trying to make it work, and I think what I've taken, you said a couple weeks ago, on these machines, you can see when they get on the brakes, and I think that's a really cool feature to see. I know we're not at night yet, but you can see when they're using those brakes to try and get the car to turn a little bit more, try and get that rear end to swing out just a little bit. And Tommy Ryan, he's absolutely just going for it. Oh, Ricky Harden, or not Ricky Harden, Jody Green, the 13, he got a little loose on the inside, so battle for second still ensues. It's a good battle.
It is difficult in these cars to get separation. I think Ron is being able to pull away just simply because Green is still actively engaged in this fight for third, rather the fight for second and third, I should say, which is sure to continue over the course of this thing. And something else to note is, again, as you said, you can see the brake lights on these cars, so you could really compare any differences as far as how hard somebody up on the outside of the racetrack is driving it in. Somebody like Jody Green gets on the brakes for a little bit of a longer period of time at once, in comparison to Harden, who completes the pass on the outside that time, who taps the brakes a couple of more times for shorter intervals in comparison.
Yeah, it's really cool to see what these guys are doing, and some of them aren't really getting on them hardly at all, and I think that's really cool to see. Tommy Ryan's one of those guys who, you know, he's not really getting on the brakes hardly at all, and I think as the runs go on, it'll be easier for these guys to maneuver the cars, but some of them will give a good hard brake into the corner and then not use it ever again, or they'll do a slight trail brake, and those won't really get those brake lights to come back on. But it is really cool to see. I mean, you're seeing that in those shots, and oh wow, the 13 of Jody Green went for a good slide in the entrance of the corner, and he actually gained a little bit on Ricky Harden for that second position.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Find a way to make it happen. Again, the way that it looks right now, so everybody's starting to spread out. Somebody like a Randy Oakham picking up a couple of spots. He may challenge Joshua King for 6th in a little bit, but we are single file, top to bottom. Things looking very good for Tommy Ryan, almost at the halfway point, working lap number 9 of 20. In this first of 2 mini-stock division features on the evening. You can tell, though, that Green, I think, may have a little bit of a faster car than Harden, just searching for the consistency and willingness to commit to a line before he can really mount a good charge.
He's been very close a couple times, Evan, on getting that position, and even that, they're actually faster just by a little bit than the leader of Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan has kind of fallen off just a little bit as the time is rolling on. Only bad thing about that race is already halfway over here, Evan. With the fact that Jody Green's gonna have to pass Ricky in order to get to Tommy. He would either have to make the pass really quick right now, or they're gonna have to start to really step it up. Otherwise, it's not gonna happen. And Tommy Ryan just made equal times to both of them, so they've got to really situate themselves now if they want to try and go for the win, or they can just try and battle for this position out and call that one off, because Tommy Ryan, he's almost 3/4 of a second ahead of them. That's quite a ways in these slow cars. And look behind him, DJ Beverly's also getting the picture. He's going to look to the inside.
And this kind of ties back in as you see Beverly try to make a play on the 13 to what we were just talking about a little bit ago with Jeremy Adams. When you're out in front, you don't have to push that car. And while these mini stocks do not handle very friendly, Jody Green is a prime example of that, as that 13 just still continues to slide throughout the corner. And that time going to give Beverly a run to the inside of the racetrack. The guy up front doesn't have to put this car into these compromising positions, and Ryan should be okay. He may kind of balance and work that 0.6 of a second advantage as to not have to really worry about the 15 come the end of it, but doesn't have to, I think, be concerned with running away to the likes of a 2-second win in the gap that we saw in the race just prior to this one. But Green still searching for the consistency. Looks like sideways every single time into the corner, which then pushes it really high off.
Yeah, you can see him using a little bit of defensive strategy too. He's looking behind him just a little bit each lap, and with that in mind, it means he's not 100% focused on getting Ricky Harden. Ricky Harden, he's trying to get, you know, everything he can to get to Tommy Ryan, but it's a little bit too far away. With 5 laps to go this time by, it's going to be a really tall task. And look at DJ Beverly. He's actually on the outside of the 13 right now, who's still sideways as always this entire run, but he might be able to get a good run here going out of 2, maybe into 3. We'll just have to see. But this 3-car pack for that spot, it's getting really close. It's almost like the exact same as the last race in those Chargers, and you're seeing the outside maneuver from DJ Beverly on the 13 of Jody Green once again, and they're going in turn 1.
And the 42's tried the inside a couple of times, really to no success, so he will look to the outside of the racetrack and see if Beverly could pick up a 2nd spot. Started this race at 5th, but has been right there on the back of the 13 at 4th for much of it. Don't look now, but even Matthew Tucker in 5th, right there, so that if the 42 and the 13 really start to get after it, coming to 2 laps to go, he could be there to pick up the pieces.
Ricky Harden, he's closing in on the gap. It's a little too late. We're going to have 2 laps to go at this stripe, but Tommy Ryan is actually starting to lose it, and so is Jody Green. He's going to lose the car right after number 4.
Spinner into the inside. So far, no caution, only 1 car around. And for how much of a handful the 13 has been, felt the pressure from Beverly on the outside, and we are going to stay green, no caution. And the 13 wanted just a little bit too much out of that Mazda, and it loops out of turn number 4. White flag, meanwhile, in the air for Tommy Ryan. Still looking for what would be a 2nd mini stock win on the year. Right now, both he and Matthew Tucker sit with the only wins in these cars this season. One apiece. Out of 6 is going to be alone at the top of the pile. Late challenge by Harden, going to come up short, and Tommy Ryan wins the mini stock feature race.
Yeah, I was worried at first about the lap car and what was going to happen there, but he absolutely ate up that lead on that last lap, and you've got to wonder if Ricky Harden was saving anything for that last-ditch effort. Man, he should have tried it earlier, because that was one of his fastest laps, that last lap. So, kind of a crapshoot, I guess, for the 15, but he really had a fast car, just didn't have the right placement for it. But really good racing overall, and what a shame for that 13 of Jody Green.
And for the run that was made late there by the 15 machine for 2nd, I have to wonder again how much of that was Tommy Ryan knowing that, again, he has the lead and he can afford really to give up all that time as long as he doesn't give the driver behind him a viable opportunity to pass him, and how much of that was the 15 hanging on, because these guys very familiar with each other. I have to think that Tommy Ryan might have given up a little bit of that time to Harden just to tease him a little bit there, but as you mentioned, you look at the lap times for Harden in this race, and those late couple of laps, some of his best picked up.
Oh yeah, and you know, if these races are just a little bit longer, you know, Ricky Harden might be in the catbird seat for future races, but tonight it's only 20 laps, and Tommy Ryan just had it just enough to make off with it, you know, like like you said, maybe he entertained the idea of Ricky having a really close battle, but I don't think that Tommy is, or really any of these guys in particular, are willing to let someone start to catch up just to make it look interesting. They want to win and make it look bad on them. They want to win as good as, or as much as possible. So I don't really see that, but it is, I suppose it is theoretically definitely possible, but I don't see any of these guys trying to lay over for anybody just in case they get to their back bumper at any point.
We'll get the word from the driver in just a minute. First, let's look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for the third mini-stock race on the season, but the first of two on the evening. Tommy Ryan sweeps the night fastest into warm-up through the qualifying and through the race. Wins by what ends up only being 1/10 of a second over Ricky Hardin, who comes home in second. DJ Beverly hangs on for third position after picking up that spot late. Matthew Tucker does assume one more spot, back up to fourth where he started. And Randy Yoakum, biggest mover, plus 5 spots to come home in 5th.
Joshua King will finish the night in 6th place, and you've got Richard Reagan Jr. finishing 7th, Jody Green 8th, and David Messier will finish 9th, with Nathan Hurlburt in 10th.
Look top to bottom at your full race results. We now go trackside with the driver of the number 6 machine as Tommy Ryan gets the job done tonight from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Tommy, congratulations on the win in these mini stocks. It's victory lane that you found a couple of weeks ago at week number 3, and you're the first driver to get 2 wins in these cars. You started up front, and they kept you honest there for the first few laps with that 13 all over you, and then you started to run away with this thing.
Yeah, man, that was a blast to drive. Man, it's all about track position. You can, if you get side by side with somebody, you saw how I could pull out the lead there on Ricky and Jody. And man, I just had to hit your marks and don't overdrive the thing. Getting in the corners, man, you just barely get on the brake and it will just turn the nose down into the corner. And you just give it just enough brake to to throw it in there and not upset it too bad where you're scrubbing off speed, sliding.
I think the biggest the gap ended up getting in this race is about 7 or 8 tenths of a second, and it was something that we had discussed in the Chargers race a little bit earlier with Jeremy pulling out in front. The opportunity that the guy up front has, especially in race cars that just generally don't handle well like these and those Chargers, to take it easy and not put yourself in a situation where you end up spinning yourself out. You kind of work the gap. At the end there, he got right to the bumper. How much of that was that, or were you teasing him at all?
No, you don't be sleeping when Ricky Hardin's behind you, because he will definitely get to you. Now, I was just, I was catching that lap car there, and he put on the brakes, and I had to get on the brakes a little bit harder. And, of course, Ricky was digging there at the end, trying to get to me. Of course, I was digging to keep him back there. But, no, he did that all himself. I didn't mean to get him that close to me.
At the end of the day, the interval doesn't matter. 8 tenths, 1/10, it is all the same, and it's a win for you in the mini stocks, making a real play to battle for the championship in these cars. We're going to have an opportunity to race in them again later on tonight. Final race on the evening. That one going to take place under the lights. Are you expecting Ricky to be back on your back bumper for that one too?
Yeah. I think we do some kind of invert here. I'm not sure if we will or not, but I'm sure me and Ricky will be right there door to door again, or nose to tail, whichever way. But it'll be fun. We'll beat door to door anytime, so we'll see what happens.
For your sake, we hope you get the upper hand in that one. We'll let you take off. Still a lot more racing to go between now and then. Sponsors and shout-outs. Do anybody want to say hi to what we got you?
Yeah, man. Obviously thanks to my teammates all around me tonight, so that was fun. And I got to get Northern Tool on the car, trying to work that deal. Hopefully I'll have that on there by next week, but we'll see. But you guys doing a great job, and thanks to Kyle for putting the show on.
We appreciate you lending your time to us here post-race. Again, congratulations on the win. Tommy, best of luck for the rest of the night.
Thanks, Jeff.
That is Tommy Ryan. He is your winner in the first mini stock division race on the evening. We've got a taste of the Chargers and mini stocks. They will be back later on tonight for our 5th and 6th events on the evening to close things out for the second of their feature race events. And Tommy echoed the thoughts there that I noted a little bit earlier, that those top couple of finishing positions, the number to be determined still, but will most likely face an invert, which will make those races later on a little bit interesting. The longest race on the night, though, is coming up next. The street stock division is back. It has been in action every single week of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, and they go racing for 30 laps when we come back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. The NASCAR Beginner Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the time model? Nothing?
Welcome back to now a nighttime setting from the Myrtle Beach Speedway as the sun has set with the completion of our opening 2 races on tonight. We head into the middle portion of tonight's race. Chargers and mini stocks coming to gone. Jeremy Adams and Tommy Ryan winning in those divisions respectively. They will look to see if they can double them up on the night. Both divisions back in action in a little bit time, but coming up next is the 2 standalone races on the night. Immediately following this one, we will get our first look at the Legends division since week number 1, but the straight stocks, the staple marker, a short track racing, and this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series coupe back at it again in what is our longest race of the night, but what may be our shortest, longest race of the night all season at 30 laps in distance.
Yeah, it'll definitely be the longest, but it'll also be the first one under the lights tonight, and definitely we'll see how these street stocks work out for these guys. This will be the first time that they've been on it together, racing in a few weeks. So I expect it to kind of be business as usual when it comes to racing at this track, racing with these guys. Don't really expect anything to be too out of the ordinary. We've got 8 cars that'll be taking the grid tonight, and I think we're in for a good amount of fun tonight.
And we've been talking about just how bad the cars tonight have handled. Not that the straight stocks are a joy to drive, but I think that if you're looking to get racy, these may be the cars to do it in. The straight stocks, of course, what are the backbone of the opening ranks and the lower levels of short track racing on iRacing, and also at the local short tracks nationwide. So we go tracks on and take a look at tonight's starting grid for our straight stock 30-lap main event. And it's Randy Okum, biggest mover in the most recent mini stocks race just moments ago. He will have to hold his position in this one. 22.398. Gonna put him on pole position for this one with John Lyday back in action tonight. The good wrench entry will start in P2. Jeremy Adams, though, right there knocking on the doorstep. The driver of the 89 machine will start in 3rd, with Michael Held rolling off at 4th, and Jonathan Smith P5.
Then you got Jeremy Watkins, Nathan Hurlburt, and David Killow finishing out this starting grid 6th, 7th, and 8th place tonight for 30 laps here in the street stocks.
And one of the funnest things I think about the street stocks is there's no set decal set, so you got all kinds of different cars out there. A Challenger here, a Camaro there, an Impala up top, and some drivers with no emblems anywhere, just the sheet metal on the front and the back end. And in these street stocks may not be a bad idea to not waste any money on putting stickers on it, because they tend to get roughed up from time to time. Lights out on top of the pace car that time by. So we're going to restart this race with 30 laps to go. These cars, interestingly enough, although they're completely different in make and how they drive, we're at about the same lap times around this place as the mini stocks did a little bit earlier. So tonight's race will be the longest in length and time-wise on the evening.
Yeah, pace car's going to come back down pit road, and then Randy Yoakum's Camaro, he will lead these guys to the green flag here tonight.
Number 4 on the bottom, the number 22 on the outside. If you're up front, you got the best shot at it, no doubt. How do you get off and get going, though? Green flag flies, and we're off and away. No really advantage to the driver on the inside of the racetrack. In fact, here comes Lide top side. The 4 really tight into the corner. To the inside goes Jerry Adams, and through all of that, Lide is your race leader.
Randy Yoakum did not get a very good start. I'm not sure whether he was in the wrong gear or something, but we've seen that happen before in the series, but nonetheless, 22 on the outside, and you've got a challenge for the lead from Jeremy Adams, which is not very surprising. He did win the race earlier tonight, and he's really working on the number 22, John Lide, and it looks like he's got himself a nose and may be able to have that position here going into the corner.
The 89, I think it was critical once Lade took the race lead on the opening lap. The 89 did not roll over, went right to the inside, down in 3 and 4, was able to establish positioning, and has led the last 2 times by the start-finish line just by a nose over Lade. This time, he clears him in a battle for the race lead, so move the 89 up to first, and now we will see Michael Held in the Piedmont entry to the inside and side by side for second, as Polster Yoakum falls another position, now back to 5th.
Yeah, it's definitely not going the way the 4 car wanted it to, and it is earlier in the game, and there can be big game changers, but right now that 4 has slid down to 5th position, which is already halfway through this 8 car field. You know, there's not typically very many street stocks when you go street race, or not street racing, when you go local track racing, and it's the same here. You know, definitely give these guys a lot of room to play around with, and that's exactly what they're doing. And Michael Held, he's not doing a bad job of getting almost identical times as Jeremy Adams. So as this run goes on, I'm really looking forward for that 55 to see what he's got. Is the number 28 of Nathan Hurlbert. He's on the inside of the 4 Randy Yoakum. He's going to execute that pass into turn number 1, and maybe he'll clear him out of 2. No, not quite yet. He's almost got him, though, and he will on the backstretch.
And even though he's already fallen that far back, the freight train is not going to stop. The 27 Kilo going to go to the inside if he can, and if that were to happen, Watkins would be right there as well. The 4, though, not just going to, again, give up on this thing. He's lost a handful of those spots at a Jack Daniels entry from kind of being caught up on the top side of the racetrack, and I think almost looking flustered at times. Could have very easily stayed topside, let Kilo get to the bottom. Did not let that happen, though. Jumped to the inside of the racetrack, and he will try to defend P6 over the course of this race. Meanwhile, the battle for the race lead heating up. Fastest lap that time by to the driver in second. Held within 2/10 now of Adams in a battle for the race lead. The 89 machine opened this season winning all 3 of the first straight stock races from weeks 1, 2, and 3, but hasn't won since then. The last 2 have gone to Matt Cucker. The 89 machine trying for redemption.
Trying for redemption and also trying to hold off these guys. It's really close. You know, as the leader, there's only so much you can really do to predict where the line's going. You can kind of say, you know, well, I'm at the bottom of the track, and maybe if I go in a little bit deeper, it'll stick. But the guy behind him can kind of see what's working and what's not. And I really like that the 55 of Michael Held is right where he kind of needs to be. You know, we're 1/3 of the race here when they cross the start-finish line the next time, and I would say he's waiting it out almost, not entirely on purpose maybe, but he's definitely in a really good spot to just kind of observe. You know, if you make a move and you start to battle, and the 22 of John Lyday becomes in the picture, and you may not want that. And so looks like he's actually going to lose a little bit of time on Jeremy Adams, but they're pretty even, this top 3.
And that's good for the 89, because once Held and Lyday start to keep an eye on the laps, now almost 1/3 distance pass, and soon you're going to be halfway, and then 10 to go, and then 5 to go. They are going to start to panic a little bit, try to find a little bit extra, and that's where you, being out in front and being a little bit more conservative and maintaining the tires, can then find yourself at an advantage. That's why, well, yes, it's a short track race, and if there's any kind of racing that you could qualify a little bit deeper back in the pack and literally muscle your way up to the field, at short track racing. But starting up front has its advantages, and Adams was basically up front this entire thing, despite the fact he started 3rd. He did lead after the opening half mile.
And we're going to have a caution to slow everything down just a little bit. Randy Yoakum and Nathan Hurlburt get together on the backstretch, and it was just those two out of turn number 4. Yoakum pulling up the track, got a hold of Nathan Hurlburt, and they just spun to the inside. I don't think any major damage for anybody except for maybe a little bit right up front on Randy Yoakum, but we'll get the replay and show you what happened.
It really didn't look like Yoakum was really struggling to hold the car down. He did have that wheel locked all the way to the left, but the contact does spin both of those cars around. These straight stocks, though, can take a hit and keep on ticking, and they're looks like in all, but I guess for all better purposes, still okay. They kind of spun down to the inside of the racetrack, parked it up right against that concrete barrier, but for worse and wear, I think they'll be okay. Going to drop to the back of the pack, but in reality, for the position that they were fighting for, that's only -2 spots for both of them. So if those cars are sporty enough to continue to run inside of the top 5, they should have ample opportunity with the race start just inside of 10 to go to fight to try to get back to where they were.
Yeah, and this only stacks the rest of the field up. You know, we had 2, groups of 4 right there for a long while. And that was really cool to see the guys who really had, the cars, set, or the car really well up. And then you had the other 4 guys who, had either been in a bad position or just started falling back. And that was really cool to see as we're seeing these guys are going around the cone a lot on the bottom. So maybe someone goes up the top. No, looks like Randy Yoakum actually has to go to the bottom because he was the one who caused the caution. So we do see that this will bring these guys back together, and I wonder if we'll see that 4 and 4 group again, or whether or not it looks like maybe the 27 and David Killo had been saving a little bit, or Jamie Watkins as well. We'll just have to see as they get the green flag here shortly.
Good to come this time. Those opening 3 laps off for the additional drop of the green flag were side by side for the race lead throughout. Let's see if Held could maybe do something from 3rd, or if Lyday, who chose the outside of the racetrack, is primed to make it a side by side fight. Green flag in the air, 16 down, 9 to go.
Not a bad start for Jeremy Adams right there. He had got a good jump, and then the 55 did as well. And look at Michael Held in the bottom. He did pretty good getting side by side with the 22. Remember, he took the cone car on the inside to stay on the inside, but it doesn't look like it's going to be paying off just yet. He's still on the inside of John Lyday, and he's going to have to keep fighting him. He's going to have to really pull it off here in a couple laps if he wants to try and get down and dirty with Jeremy Adams. But going side by side, he gets a little wiggly off of turn number 2. If he wants to get up there, he's got to get this pass executed. And oh, by the way, Jonathan Smith is right behind them, trying to also take advantage of what's going on.
And it looks like the 55 is going to be successful, and will be able to, I think, rightfully get the number 2 spot back.
Gave him a hit there, Evan.
Looking at the inside is that 22, and Held obviously does not want to see anything from the 22, but she wants to get off and get going, and I think Lyday not willing to run away with this thing quite yet. The 22, though, has a little bit of extra incentive to just not sit around on his thumbs in 3rd either, because if he's content, he's going to have, as you just said, Jonathan Smith, the bright red entry, right there in 4th, all over him as well. So for him, it's either you go forwards or you're going backwards, and that might have explained the little bit of an overzealous dive to turn 3, if you will.
Yeah, he definitely gave the 55 of Michael Held a good bump there, and it was really cool to see that the contact was definitely not something that he wanted to spit him out, but just wanted to let him know he was there. And Only bad thing about that is he's not really been able to back it up. He's not been able to really go for the pass, and maybe it was just a message to say, hey, I know you're faster than me. I'm going to try and keep up with you, or something along the lines. Either way, we're at 9 laps to go here, and with 30 laps total. It's time's running away from the 55 Michael Held, and we'll have to see if he gets there. He hits the outside wall for just a mere moment. But he's going to have to try and catch Jeremy Adams, who's been basically flawless and has led all the laps so far.
He's been out in front, he's been dominant in this one, and he is trying to just close it in and basically run out the clock in this race. Inside of 10 laps to go, I don't think that at a 0.6 of a second disadvantage now, and if Held had something, as soon as he got clear to that 22, I think we would have started to see those lap times. There's a little bit of a gap between he and Adams. There is no real huge aerodynamic complication from running second at a racetrack like this. The last time by 0.666 seconds off of the top spot for the number 55 machine. So he might be stuck there in the number 2 spot, and is going to have to, I think, deal with the late charge from Lyday. Lyday's not going away. He doesn't have to deal with Smith anymore, who's dropped back by 2 seconds in recent laps. I think that 22 machine may be waiting to make a late race move, maybe when we get to 3 to go or less.
And they're really digging right now. I saw Michael Held just absolutely dive it in the corner, and I think to him it's almost a why not. If you can get a little bit of that sand on the left side tires, and you can really start to get off the corner really good, you can probably dig that thing in there as much as possible. And he is gaining more. He may have overdrove it a little bit there in one, just a tiny bit, but he's really giving it his all. We already got 5 to go, and it's kind of time to either to really go for it or try to figure out what to do with the next few laps, because if you feel that John Lyday is going to start getting you and you're really pushing it too hard, you might have to just be consistent at this point with only a few more laps to go.
Battle amongst 2 drivers who got together a little bit earlier on continues for 7th and 8th. Nathan Hurlbert and Randy Yoka may be one of the tightest exchanges on track at the moment. Smith, who we noted had fallen back to 4th, is basically 2 seconds off of anyone in front of him, but he's 2 seconds clear of Kellos, so he is smooth sailing to the end of this one. We did see, though, late in the mini stock race, a single car mistake send one of our quickest drivers around, so you're never in clear, even though you're free and far away from traffic, but this time by popsicle sticks for the 89.
And so far, he's just really been flawless. You know, he got in the lead very early off of starting in 3rd place, and right now, all he's got to do is make a few more trips around this track or around the corners of this track, and he'll get another win on the night. But Michael Held appears to be trying so hard, he's actually losing some speed to the 22. You said earlier, 22 of John Lyday might actually have a chance here towards the last few laps with 1 lap to go.
It would really have to be a send into turn number 3 as the battle between 2nd and 3rd going to be 2 car lengths. There is no challenge for your race leader, Jeremy Adams, straight stock Mastro, coming home with his 4th win in the cars in this season, and what is going to be a 2nd win tonight. And there's that signature little slide down in 1 and 2 as Adams gets another one held safely across the lawn in front of Lyday for 2nd and 3rd, but Jeremy Adams gets himself back out in front of the win count in the straight stocks, 4th on the season. Only he and their very familiar friend in obviously Matt Cucker are the only guys who have won in a straight stock this year. The 89 picks up another one tonight and drives it down to victory lane.
Yeah, and as the season goes on, you've got to wonder who's going to come to the track next week or the following week or the win after that, and try and go for that. Try and go for that win. Try and knock them off. And I think Michael Held made a really good charge tonight. You know, each time they get, I think, a little bit more competitive. They're getting a little bit more adjusted to the track. I think the bar has been set with Jeremy Adams and Matt Cucker, and they can't really. I don't think they can get much faster. But everyone else in the field can, and I think that's happening each and every week, and it's really, I think it's visibly easy to see, and it's also, you can see it in the stats as well, each and every time they race these cars.
And we see something similar to that on Monday nights with the Full Throttle Cup Series drivers kind of chasing each other down, learning their driving styles over the course of a season. But obviously, we have yet to see something like this series where it is the same track week in and week out. You expect the first couple of weeks to be dominated by those who have it under control early. But as we start to work into the middle portions of this campaign, I think more and more other drivers are going to start to interject themselves into the picture. The 89, though, gets another one on the evening, and we will be trackside with him once more. First, a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results from tonight's Lone Street Stock Division feature on the evening. Jerry Adams is going to get the win tonight. Started third, but I think ended up leading every single lap tonight for the Myrtle Beach Speedway to get home his fourth win in these cars on the season. Michael held respectable P2 finish, picked up 2 spots as well. John Lade comes home in third position tonight. Jonathan Smith comfortably in a P4 finish this evening, and David Killo takes advantage of a couple of late race spinners at a turn number 2 to round out your top 5.
Jeremy Watkins, Randy Yoakum, and Nathan Hurlbert will round out the last 3 positions in 6th, 7th, and 8th. Randy Yoakum just didn't have it in the cards, and Nathan Hurlbert and Randy had a little bit of a rough bit there, so I'm sure they'll be back at it next week as they round out the 8-car field.
All of that was behind the driver of the 89 machine, Jerry Adams, a winner once more in the street stocks. Jerry, congratulations on this one, your second trip to victory lane this evening, but also finally getting the street stock win back. You opened up the season in these cars very well. It's the only division we have seen every single week, won the first 3 times out in them, but Matt Cunker had taken the last 2. You get yourself back on top tonight.
Yeah, it was interesting. Held was right there with me too, so he put up a really good fight. I think he kind of made a mistake there, not taking the outside on the restart. I think it'd been a lot better race if he would have, but yeah, we got lucky and got another one.
Talk us through that fight early because we saw pole sitter Yoakum slow start, and that wasn't great news for you. It actually gave Lade a fantastic position. He was a half a car length clear down to turns 1 and 2, but it almost looked like you were going to get boxed in. You found your way to the front, though, right on that opening lap and never looked back.
Yeah, that's probably what won it for me, honestly, is I think he kind of overdrove the corner a little bit, and I just instinctively just stuck it in there, so I think that's kind of what won the race. If not, it would have been hard to get around Held if he was in front of me, so I just needed to beat him up there.
Winning the street stocks is obviously going to help you guys out in one of the more competitive series in this division. It'll pad what was a 24-point advantage into tonight. So a successful evening in these cars. Their only start on tonight, so only having one crack at it. Does that make you feel or approach a race any differently than the likes of the Chargers that have been these stocks that we're going to have 2 goes at tonight, only having 1 race in these cars, or is it just business as usual?
Just business as usual. Yeah, you can't look at the next race. You got to look at the race in front of you and run that race and try to win it. And I don't points race. I don't think anybody on our team points race. We like to win, and we always try to win.
And subsequently, winning it gives you ample points. So you get the win in the street stocks. Congrats to you on that one, Jeremy. The sponsors and the shout-outs. It makes it happen.
Everett Vince here, 6-man. I Analyze, Global Com. You guys for putting it on, and Barnes for having it. I tell anybody that wants a good group to race with to come out and try it out.
4th for you in these cars this season, 2nd on the evening. Still a busy night ahead. We'll let you take off. Congrats once more.
All right. Thank you, Evan. Appreciate it.
Jerry Adams is your street stock winner tonight. It'll be able to grow a 24-point lead in the street stock points that he carried into tonight, and he is not done yet. We're halfway through week 5 of the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. As we step aside, when we come back, the legends have returned. First time since week number 1, they've got a feature race on a Wednesday night, and that one is next here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. back live from the Myrtle Beach Speedway as we enter the second half of racing action of Week 5 of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. So far this evening, we have seen Jeremy Adams take home a checkered flag in the Chargers, Tommy Ryan win in the mini stocks, and then most recently Adams his second win on the night, fourth this season, taking home tonight's lone straight stock win on the night. And we transition now into our second half as we work into the evening at Myrtle Beach Speedway, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The legends are back. These things are crazy, both on the real world side of things and on the sim. First time we're going to be seeing them since week 1.
Yeah, and if I do remember correctly, these guys were just really feisty the last time we saw them. And to be fair, this is gonna probably be the feature for the night. And in regards to the lap counts, the amount of drivers, we've got I think 15 drivers on the grid tonight, and that's not if you can't. I don't know if we're gonna count the cone car part of that. You could count 16 with Kyle Barnes being the cone car, but yeah, it's gonna be really wild, I think, for these guys. 15 legend cars on this really big oval, so I'm really excited to see this because I think the last time we saw them was in the daytime, so nighttime is the right time for these guys.
The only time we've seen it was in the daytime, so let's see how it plays out coming into tonight. As we look top to bottom, Matthew Tucker starts on pole position for this one with a 22.175. Michael Held is the outside of the front row. Brandon Wilkinson on the inside of row 2 and 3rd, with Christian Peterson starting in 4th, and Richard Reagan Jr. rounds out your top 5.
Starting in the 6th position will be David Messier. Then you'll have Dawson Fletcher starting 7th. Randy Yoakum will start 8th. He's raced every race tonight. Then Logan Gibson will start 9th. And then Shane McCurry will start in the 10th position.
11th spot tonight going to go to Sean Cross. 12th position is Jeremy Watkins. As we look back to row number 7, David Akillo starting tonight in the unlucky number 13 starting spot. Tanner Cook will roll from 15th position with Rafe Slate in 15th. A look complete top to bottom at your starting grid. And these Legends cars are a lot smaller than everything else that we have seen so far tonight, but they do not lack in the power and excitement, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's 2 different kinds, and oh my goodness, do we already have someone with a blown motor? No, I think the 55 spun on the warm-up lap, so yeah, he's gonna have to go to the back, I think, for that.
He got the fence, and that car hooked around, so it looks like he's going to attempt to get his spot back. It's going to be a late charge, and no, he is not going to give it back. He's going to get an EOL penalty from race control, so all of a sudden, the second fastest car is out of this thing, and Peterson going to move from the outside of row 2 to the outside of the front row in 2nd position. He's chasing down Matthew Tucker in the Legends cars. Tucker with a P4 in the only race in these cars we've seen this year, looking for a win as we go racing for the first of 25 laps.
Yeah, look at all those Legends cars go down, and look at the outside. That's where you want to be already, and you can see that one car, oh, big wreck on the back straightaway. Big, 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 and we were expecting it to happen. And it looks like Dawson Fletcher, Sean Cross, David Killo, Michael Held. If he had not had that issue on the warm-up lap, he wouldn't have been involved, but wow, already accident on lap 1.
And it all started with Fletcher down on the bottom of the racetrack. I mentioned that these cars are the smallest, and just by scale alone, those curbs down on the white lawn in 1 and 2 are going to be bigger on these cars than they are on any of the other ones. And he clipped it, I think, once going into the corner, might have upset the car a bit, and then he got it the second time, and it upset that car to the point where it spun around, and you had him go up and then back down as he tried to hang on. It was a 50-50 guess. The 83 guessed wrong, and that's where the pileup began.
And these cars are tough, mind you. The rookie cars of this version are tougher, but these cars in particular are so tough where I really don't think it's going to affect them too much unless they have wheel damage or, you know, an axle broken or anything like that. But I expect these guys to be fully still in it, the guys who just crashed out, just because of the fact that there's really no aerodynamic push or aerodynamic, anything that you can really damage that is already there. I mean, I guess you could still have a fender flare out and drag you down, but these cars are absolutely tough.
And it looks like, based on that most of the drivers involved in that one are still on track, it appears. Everybody with the exception of Cross still out on the racetrack. Cross is the driver who guessed incorrectly, as I noted, and got tagged. Ended up at the outside, rather the inside wall, I should say, then got hit by the charging Michael Held, who was trying to find a way through after losing his front row starting spot by spitting on the opening pace lap of this thing. And it kind of all compounds itself there, and we pace behind the pace car. Pace car will drop off and away, and we are going to go back underway. No real change up front, except for the fact that Wilkinson, who was second anyhow, is now going to end up on the outside of the front row, courtesy of the mandatory 2x2 restarting procedure, which will put Peterson to the inside of row 2, and Reagan to the outside of row 2 and 4th as we come to the green.
Yeah, here they come out of turn number 4, and when will the number 43 of Matthew Ducker go? Had the race lead since the start as he had the pole, and there they go, green flag in the air. The 23 of Christian Peterson gets a really good jump, almost too good of a jump when you start to think about it, and looks like the number 26 of Brandon Wilkinson is going to have to concede that position almost immediately, and Christian Peterson's going to be already hauling the mail on the outside.
Trying to compete to the outside, not going to give it up, going to get forced high as a bad corner exit for Tucker might have been the mistake he needed. Peterson charging for the race lead, not yet clear, still side by side for the point. 43 can't get a run off of the corner, and there you got it, 23 out in front.
Look at these guys trying to maneuver on the 43. He seems a little bit slower than all the guys around him, and unsure of why, but right now he's got a challenge for the inside. That's the number 26 of Brandon Wilkinson, who's still trying to get that position back, and he just lost on that restart just to get back to where he was. And you've got, looks like the 40 of Richard Reagan Jr., who's been in the picture just almost all day, really, and he thought about making it 3 wide there for the second position, but thought better of it, as that battle might clear out here in a couple laps. But if it doesn't, Christian Peterson will continue to pull away.
Did have an incident off of the restart, contact between Shane McCurry and Rafe Slate. No caution going to come from that one. Both of those drivers going to drop to the back of the lead lap as a result of it. Meanwhile, the fight for second, third, and fourth continues to rage on. Reagan on the inside. You can really see these legends pushing up on exit and really tight that time in the center and at the line amongst Tucker and Reagan in the battle for third. This is exactly what Wilkinson would like to see, because it means he doesn't have to hold them off for P2. Longer this goes on, further away from them, the 26 can go.
And Tucker and Reagan are doing really good, having a really good battle for them, and knowing that they're going to, I don't think either are going to back down anytime soon, just to keep going at Brandon Wilkinson. I think they know that Wilkinson and Peterson have a really good car, and the 40 hit those rumbles just a little bit and had to get out of it, and then the 43 got tight, so 40 of Richard Reagan may have got a little bit of a gift there because of the fact that he got on those rumbles pretty hard, and we saw what happened if you do that too much. So got away with one, got lucky, I would say. Now he's got to set his sights forward. There's a lot of drivers behind him. You got the number 4 of Randy Yoakum, and you've also got right in front of him David Messier, which is actually now the battle for position.
And Messier coming into this from 5th spot, the 58 way up top though, and it's going to allow Yoakum, who seems to always find himself, with the exception of the last race at the street stocks, deep in qualifying, but with a consistently good car in race trim that allows him to work through traffic almost unabated, and that time by the 58, and making his way to the top 5 for the first time tonight. 3rd spot he's picked up.
And a lot of drivers are going up and down. You've also got Jeremy Watkins, who's come up quite a bit. He started in the 12th position, and he's in 8th place. And then you've got Tanner Cook, who's also come in from out of nowhere from 14th to 10th. So, you know, drivers coming up and down, whether it's by a little mistake on the opening lap, or should I say the parade lap, or just absolutely just getting speed. And Richard Reagan's got that right now. And don't know if he's got the car to get past Brandon Wilkinson. He's got quite the deficit to pick up, but you know, these first three cars have absolutely spread themselves out. And for them, I'd say it's a patience, it's a game of waiting, it's a game of just hitting your mark and making sure nothing happens unless a caution comes out, which it does right there on the right there in turn 3.
Hell the second time. Issues for the driver to 55 was running in 7th position all by himself. And yes, these legends do kind of have fenders, but the wheels are somewhat exposed, and he got into the wall and just wasn't able to get off, and then that front bumper kind of hooked. We saw this 2 weeks ago and thought it was strange, and it loops that 55 around all on his lonesome, and he'll lose the top 10 position on his own accord, dropping to the back, second one on the night he's been involved in.
Only good thing about this for Michael is that he will get a second chance at trying to get some positions. Bad thing, of course, is that he'll have less laps to do it. He was in, I do believe he was at least in the top 10. Yeah, he was in 7th at the time, so he'll have to try and get all those positions back. And I'd have to believe that, you know, with all, you know, these guys are hitting the backstretch wall occasionally, but you know, he just barely got into it. Once you get in it, it feels that you're stuck, and if you get on the brakes or you get on the gas, I don't think it, for some reason, it doesn't really matter what you try and do. Once you're hooked, you're just going to go around, and I think that just happens to be how the tires just react to the wall.
To go this time by, drivers again typically at this moment would have an opportunity to select which lane they want to start on. However, in this division particularly, it is going to be just as normal. You're going to be on the inside lane if you're at an odd number, and if you're on the outside, it's going to be an even number. So 1, 2 front row, inside and out, 3, 4 inside and out, row 2, etc. All the way through. Still 14 cars total scored on the lead lap in this thing. Again, inside of 10 laps to go. If somebody has something for Peterson, it may be his last good opportunity.
Yeah, I think for all these drivers, if they want any more positions on the night, you know, they've got to really, they've really got to pony up and try and get positions here at this start. As we know, you know, on a restart, it's your best opportunity. It's your best opportunity to really get the next driver or any drivers you feel you can't get in the long run. So I expect some either gutsy moves or just some drivers really trying to haul it here on this restart.
And any sort of a caution may take the wind out of the sails for the rest of this thing. We do have the manual cautions, and pace car driver out in front, Jacob Porter, doing his best as he gets to the pit lane to get these guys back lined up in green ASAP. But with less than 2 minutes left to go on time, they may not even make it to the end of 25 laps. Here comes Peterson. Does Wilkinson mount a challenge, or does it come from somebody else? 18 laps complete, green flag.
And as they go down to turn 1 here, you're seeing that the outside of with Wilkinson may actually start to pick up, but looks like Peterson's drive off is just too good right now. And Matthew Tucker, he's right there and to spoil it all right as well. And look at Randy Yoakum, he's come back into this thing as well. And this long line of cars only has a few more laps to go with a minute left. That white flag will come out, I think, before the allotted number of laps, so we'll just have to keep our eye on it as it keeps going.
And it is going to be right down to the wire. 5 laps to go this time by. Peterson won't mind if the clock strikes 0 before the checkered flag comes out. For him, he's out in front. It appears to be in control. It may, though, have a bigger effect on the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Look at the 40 machine of Richard Reagan Jr. Looked to the bottom that time, got blocked, went top side on Wilkinson, and that opened up the door for Tucker to go low.
Look at him on the bottom, 43. He started on the pole and then kind of went to the back a little bit. Now he's trying to get back up there, trying to make it work out. And he's right there trying to get that position, trying to get there, trying to get that podium spot. And then you've got a lot of company behind trying to also get that spot from the 40. And look at that contact, and the 40 is going to somehow save it right off of 2.
Second time, I think we've seen a very close call at that part of the racetrack. It's really going to hurt Reagan, though, because he's going to fall way back to at least P6 as David Killo tries to challenge him for that number 6 position. That side-by-side battle going to continue down the back straightaway, and the 40 is going to be on the losing end as the 27 clears him.
Yeah, the first 2 drivers starting to spread out, and then you've got and then Yoakum as well, and Yoakum was a beneficiary of that little debacle. And wow, look at behind him, looks like Dawson Fletcher is really on the back bumper of him right there, and almost he got into him into turn number 1, but all sights are set on Christian Peterson as he'll get the white flag here coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah, this final restart in this race, they give him plenty of opportunities, and the caution flag is going to fly with the white flag in the air. The 71 at Austin Fletcher, I believe, is going to be where this was. Oh, he got into the 4 and turned Randy Yoakum, who was having a great night for 4th position. They piled in behind, and we were on board with those drivers as that happened. We didn't see what happened to the spinning car as it went out of frame with the onboard shot, but they did go around. The yellow is out, and the checker is out as well. Christian Peterson is going to get the Legends win, an unconventional run to the end of this thing. Result remains the same.
And that wreck in particular was kind of odd. You know, I talked about how Dawson Fletcher was right there, and it looked like he might get into him, and that's exactly what happened. And it was a massive wreck, but when it comes down to the end of it, the guy who won the race was the guy who just kind of made sure he got out of trouble and didn't really sit in it, I guess, and that was Christian Peterson. So coming to the front straight away, he's going to get into victory lane, and we'll talk to him soon about his race.
He parks it in victory lane, a race that started up front but wasn't completely under control at times. I think, though, did prove on that very quick pull away with about 7-8 laps to go that 23 machine was the best car in the field, and he takes home the win in the Legends cars. Second race in these cars this season. Second win for the driver of the number 23 machine, who we will be trackside with momentarily. First, a look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for tonight's Legends main event. Peterson gets the checkered flag after bumping up to the front row after issues on the grid for Michael Held. Took over the race lead early. Easy win for him as Brandon Wilkinson ends up in 3rd, and Matthew Tucker comes home at 4th. Dawson Fletcher using the chrome horn to end up 4th position tonight. And Logan Gimson, who was actually our fastest driver in warm-up a little bit ago, does round out your top 5.
Finishing in the 6th position is going to be Rafe Slate. Then you've got David Metzier in the 7th position finishing out tonight. Shane McCurry 8th. David Killo will finish 9th after the wreck. And Richard Reagan Jr., he will finish 10th.
Final 2 drivers on the lead lap. 11th position for Tanner Cook and Randy Yoakum, who comes home in 12th. Jeremy Watkins in 13th is going to end up 2 laps down in 13th position. 14th and 2 laps down, as well as Michael Head and Sean Cross. Doesn't make it the distance, and this one ends up 18 laps down in 15th position. But Christian Peterson takes home the win tonight, and it has been, I think, it had ordered at about a time for the driver of the number 23 machine since we have been with him down at victory lane, and he gets a Legends division win tonight from Myrtle Beach. Christian, congratulations on the W in this one. You were supposed to start outside of row 2. The guy in front of you has some sort of unexplained problem navigating the pace laps. You end up on the front row and definitely took advantage of that opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the car was good. I just made a couple tweaks to it from the first week here, so many weeks ago now. But, yeah, I think Mike had a problem. Something happened with his screen, and his screen went black there at the beginning, and that kind of sucked. But, yeah, we took advantage of the outside front row. We got a caution there real early. I thought I was going to be second again, but they put me back to 3rd on the restart, and then I got a really good jump on the leader when he went. I'm pretty sure I went like right when he did, and got by Wilkinson right at the beginning there, and then just threw around the outside of the 43 and set sail. I know Wilk said he was running a little bit too tall of a gear, so sure if he had the right gear in there, he would have been right there with me. But yeah, it was a good day.
Did that late race caution flag concern you at all? Not the one that came right at the white flag there. At that point, it looked like it was already locked up, but I think it flew right with about 10 laps to go, and we restarted with about 7 left on the clock. And knowing that, to your point, that maybe they didn't have a car necessarily that was quicker than yours, but in racing, the fastest car doesn't necessarily win all the time, and you never know what could happen on a late race restart. Were you at all concerned with that one, or did you have faith in your ability to get out in front far enough and quick enough so that they wouldn't have any chance to try to pull any silly business on you?
I was feeling pretty confident, but with these cars, there's not a lot of power, and I went pretty early in the restart box, so I was just trying to get the jump as soon as I could, because with these cars, if you don't get a good jump and the other guy goes and then you go, there's not enough power to get ahead of him. So I was just trying to time it right at the line, and he timed it well though, and I was just able to beat him off into turn 1.
Last time we saw these cars was week 1, the opening race of this series. It was daytime conditions, and you won it in that one. Any changes from now to then? I know that we do see a couple of series don't necessarily run every single week, but it had been quite some time since we've been in these Legends machines. It looked like you remembered how to drive them good enough.
Yeah, these things are a blast, man. I threw a little bit of right front spring in it, and for the qualifying, I was real loose in the daytime, and then I just took the rear ride height down a little bit. I was still a little loose in qualifying, and then I knew the race was going to be at night, so it would tighten up. But yeah, just snugged it up a little bit and made it comfortable myself, and was able to drive hard and pull away.
We're happy to have you back in Victory Lane. We'll let you take off. The sponsors and the shout-outs to makes it happen for you.
It's just everybody that comes out, everybody who participates in this awesome series here on Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday. Everybody at Vincier, Six Man, you guys at LSRTV. I think my buddy Yanks is watching. I don't know if my parents are watching downstairs, but shout out to everybody who's watching, and look forward to the next couple races here.
2 for 2 in the Legends, and at the top of the championship standings in them safely. Peterson takes home the win in those cars tonight. Christian, thanks for giving us a chance to chat with you, and hopefully we'll catch you back down in Victory Lane shortly.
All right, thanks, Evan.
The 23 machine went a couple of weeks here without a win, but he's back on top of the pile, and he wins tonight's Legends 25-lap main event. So, as we said at the top, 2 Chargers races and 2 mini stocks races. We've seen the first of both to go to Jerry Adams and Tommy Ryder, respectively. The second main events of each are coming up. 2 races still to go from Myrtle Beach as the Chargers hit track once more. Jerry Adams looks for a 3rd win on the night. We'll find out if he can do it when we come back to LSRTV and to iRacing Live.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. And I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Back from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, as we have the Chargers division back in action. The second to last race tonight for the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, presented by the Championship Esports Association, as we go racing for 25 laps. Coop, we saw Adams handily take these things home earlier tonight. We'll see if he can get another one with the invert.
He's got a good shot at it. I know we're going to have an invert of some sort, probably like 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. And I know for a fact that he's going to have probably a really good chance. But starting from the back, he will be moved from the start of this, or to the middle of the pack, or to the back based on the invert. But I still feel like he's got a good chance. He's got this car really wrapped under his belt, and there'll be a couple other guys who might have something for him too.
Things working in his favor, obviously. Not a very dense field. He should be able to fight through the things working against him, obviously. He won that first one from up front, and in this one, he's going to be in the middle of the pack. 25 laps is not a lot of time in these Chargers. Nonetheless, we go trackside. Take a look at top to bottom at your second Chargers division race feature on the evening, and it is going to be a top 7 invert. So, Chris Patton will start on pole position for this 25-lap affair, and will be accompanied by David Kello to the outside of the front row in second. The 8 of Rafe Slate to the inside of row 2 in third, and Tanner Cook to the outside in fourth, with Richard Reagan Jr. behind in P5.
And in the 6th, 7th, and 8th position, you've got Jacob Porter, Jeremy Adams, who won the last one, and then you've got Robbie Bunden. He'll start in the 8th position.
That's the complete look top to bottom at your Chargers division feature. Obviously, the cone car going to be back in action for this one. Should we see a caution over the course of our 25-lap main event? But I think that just based on speed, Adams has a car that can challenge even being back against row 4. But he didn't really have to fight and pass a lot of cars early. It was more so just simply relying on that speed and nailing the restarts to stay out in front. So we think he has a car to do it, but he's going to have to execute it working through the traffic.
Also, with these ill-handling cars, they are at night, so they're not going to be as difficult to handle. But if anyone has an issue in front of me, or any of these other drivers, including Porter and Reagan and Tanner Cook, he was pretty fast in late going to that race too. They're going to have to really make sure that they've got the handle on these cars.
His car's off and away. Maybe Chris Patton can play spoiler. He and David Kello going to bring us to the American Ethanol green flag. Row 2, Ansi looking at 96. A Cook all over the back of the 27. 1 and 2 for the first time. Inside, the place to be by a mile. Look at the 8 of Slate to the inside now.
Wow, what a charge to the front. If he gets this position, it'll be an incredible run to the start position, and he will get it at the line. So from third to first in 1 lap, that was an incredible charge right there, and he'll start to try and pull away because he knows that's going to be it. 27 around in turn number 2, big accident. Caution is
Yellow
out.
spins. There's the yellow. Issues with the 27 at just lap number 2 tonight. I thought it had come from contact, but I think that 27 was getting loose on his own. He was running in 4th position. It kind of got jumped on all over at the start there. Tanner Cook, who lined up right behind him on the grid, was pounded on that bumper, saying, "Let's go, let's go." And the 27 just started to get loose in turn 2, and you could see the 3 of Porter trying to figure out where to go. He was kind of going side to side on the wheel, trying to guess, should I go high, should I go low? He saw it happening in front of him, and eventually, when he wasn't able to commit, just ended up right in the line of the spinning car.
Yeah, and when you're a driver in that position, you feel really helpless, and I think that's exactly what Porter felt like. Is there's not really much he could do to it. He's got some severe right side and rear end damage from hitting the wall and hitting Killa right there, and I think the 40 of Richard Reagan may have just squeaked by that as well, because he's got some right rear damage as well, and he was just barely like maybe an inch or maybe half a second away from just being turned on the outside, where the circumstances just a little bit from an accident, but he lives to fight another day at this rate.
This time by driver is going to have the opportunity to decide if they want to be on the inside or the outside of the racetrack with a going car. Expecting, again, despite the fact that there is this freedom, drivers tend to stick with the one in, one out strategy. The 8 going to go to the outside, and the one machine of Chris Patton contact with a cone car. I'm surprised, to be honest, that we haven't seen that this season, Coop, and he was just not committing, and you did see a little bit of gamesmanship on the front row by Slate not willing to commit high or low, and Patton just got himself damaged. He's done. He's very slow on the outside. That's got to be a penalty, if not himself just being done.
Yeah, and race control's actually kind of laughing about it, but that is the first time we've seen it, and I'm with you. I'm really surprised we haven't seen that already, as they're about ready to go green.
It does happen in real life. The first time it happens here came out week number 5, and that changes up the front row as we go back green. All of a sudden, Jeremy Adams is in a fantastic spot, restarting basically second instead of restarting in 4th. Pays him due dividends, and he's got an opportunity to battle for the race lead. We questioned, could he get up front after having to start in 7th due to the invert? He is right there at lap 7.
Yeah, he's got himself really hooked up on the outside, and Rafe tried to take his line away, and he did a pretty good job of doing that right there. He just kind of went up the track just a little bit and made sure that Jeremy had to run just a little bit longer of a route to get to the corner exit, and right now, he's in the lead still, and oh, wow, oh, sorts of out of shape for the 99, and he's going to lose that position at the line, and he and Tanner Cook are going to do battle for second, while Rafe Slate tries to pull away.
Cook had a fast car, looking to beat and bang it up at each other. Oh, no! It's going to be contact. It turns him. Adams into the outside fence. Caution at lap number 8. And how the mighty have fallen. Adams from being teed up to go for the race lead to junked.
And you know, they were banging in the middle of the corner, and I'm just curious of whether Adams came up to Cook or Cook came up into him. Either way, Cook didn't really get that bad. Oh yeah, he got quite a bit on that one. I think both of those guys are going to be ending up getting quite a bit of damage. But that was, I think, just a lot of hard racing going in the corner, because Jeremy got really loose on the corner and then ran up into Cook, and then Cook got loose off the corner and ran back into him, and then Cook just really couldn't handle anything after that.
And they were trying to get off each other, and the 89 didn't turn down the track at all at a 2 at a retaliation. He was locked to the right, but the problem was the little bits of contact here and there had him pushing up and up the hill, that as he tried to save it, he essentially pitched that nose to the inside. That's how he clips the Adams entry, the 89 machine, and all of a sudden, now the 2 fastest cars all of a sudden, arguably in this race, making the charge, and we're all over Slate, who's loving what he just saw, are not out of this race, but dropped to the back, and essentially it's a restart button for Adams, because he's back in 7th where he began, and with damage. So he did it once, but I think it'll be hard-pressed for him to do it again, and the door's wide open now. How about Robbie Bundin? 8th place. Not in the invert. 8th place is where he was earlier tonight. 8th place is where he started this race. All of a sudden, his Ford is on the front row.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see what Rafe Slate and Robbie Bundin have to say about this. And Robbie Bundin, I think he's trying to get a little bit of a head start from the 8. He's really excited right now, I bet. And we're going to get a start here with the green flag coming out right now. And a good jump from those front 3. Kalo is a little bit slow on the side. And then also the number 3, he was really slow on that start as well. And Robbie Bundin's got to really make sure it doesn't spin out right there out of turn number 2.
A couple of drivers twitch it off at the turn. The 27 to Kilo got a little bit loose. He has the 89 all over his bumper. Adams not willing to give up. Maybe a bump and run that time out of the corner. Kilo into the fence, and through on the inside is Adams and the 96 of Tanner Cook. So they're going to get a couple of spots back, jumping up to 4th and 5th position.
Yeah, and these two right here, the 89 and the 96, they've really got to go to work here to get these guys in front of them. And I know Robbie Bundin's still trying to get a hold of this car. It's been a few weeks, and right now Robbie's still trying to get a hold of it right now, as he's still holding on the 3rd right now. And then you've also got to look up towards the very front, Richard Reagan and Rafe Slate. They're in good positions right now, and it looks like Richard Reagan's just catching him just ever so slightly. Gets really loose off the corner there off of turn number 4. It's going to be a really good battle for the lead here, I think.
The 40 right there, step for step. Bundin still sits in third, leading over Jeremy Adams at the moment, who's quickly followed by Tanner Cook. If Bundin is the wall, if you're in contact, Reagan hard into the outside wall. Just completely lost it down to turn 3. Must have had some sort of an issue. That car is now parked up against the outside wall, and his night is going to be done out of nowhere, and now Slate uncontested.
That looks like a wheel disconnect to me. That was just so sudden. It couldn't. I don't think it could be anything else. And what a wow! That couldn't have been any worse timing for the number 40 right there. And as it happens, sometimes it's battle for second. Now we'll have to put that away for now. We'll talk about it later. But 96 on the bottom, 89 on the top this time for second place.
Second place, wide open in a battle that was for third, and the Bundin wall, if you will, the analogy I was going to get to is if Bundin is breached from third, then the guys up front are going to have to run from Adams and Cook because they would be uncontested to run up to the front. And now that we saw the driver from second have some major issues, and all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, out of this race, and with Adams and Cook being able to pass Robbie Bundin, who now falls to fifth, they have a chance to chase down the 8. Can they do it? We'll find it amongst themselves. Here comes to the inside the 96 for P2.
It wasn't too long ago that they were fighting around each other, and they'll do it again here for the second position. And I've got to say, if they're going to race as hard as they were earlier, it might be just the best thing that Rafe Slade is looking for, because they're super close to each other right up the corner with 6 laps to go. And you can see that Jeremy Adams going into turn 1 is actually turning down just a little bit sooner, and they looked like they were synchronized right there with the amount of tail that they had in the car. And this is really fun to watch these guys get really sideways and hold on to him.
The 96 had his big bobble into the corner, and then the 96 had a big bobble off of the corner, so they end up even keen, they still sit side by side for third. Slate is now 1.8 seconds out in front as the fight for second continues, as the driver of the 8 machine looks for his first win this season.
Yeah, and I think at this rate, even if a caution were to come out, they'd probably try and red flag it, but it's going to be really close. I think Rafe Slade just needs to do what he's doing right now and just take it easy. He's going higher in the corners, knowing that these guys are fighting really hard for the position. And man, this is a really good battle for a second. I'm not keeping my eyes off of it until the last lap, because this is just fantastic racing between these guys. They know how to handle this car.
And I have to wonder if Cook kind of made a determination based on the fact that once they got to second and third, they lost time to Slate on 2 consecutive laps. And he kind of said, okay, there's no benefit running single file or contact between the two. And they are really going at it now for second, which might as well be a battle for the win the way they're racing.
Oh my gosh, they're absolutely even, and they're even making the same mistakes at the same time. But I think Cook may have the advantage here going into 2. Not quite. Oh, yes, he does. Jeremy Adams got really loose going in the corner, but now Tanner Cook gets loose off of 2. Man, this is crazy for them. White flag this time by.
And that mistake by the 96 brings Adams to it. The bump in turn 4, and they will go side by side again, and more contact in the fight for second. Let that not distract from Rafe Slate up front, who's going to march to his first win in the Championship Esports Association's Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, coming out of turn number 4, taking the Chargers win.
And right behind him, Tanner Cook and him are going to fight it. They were contact all the way to the line, but Jeremy Adams got the best of them right there.
Beaten and banging, Slate gets the win. Cook led in the battle for second at the white flag, but Adams' bump and run was good enough for him to be able to take over that spot for turn number 4. And I think that for all the contact we did see between those two, Coop, given their history this race, having gotten into each other and actually both having wrecked out of this race, I find it impressive that they were able to remain physical while not just completely wrecking each other at the end. It was hard racing. It was a little bit extra, but I think that those guys, kind of a good example of what hard short track racing can be with both of those cars, ended up second and third after what happened earlier.
Yeah, it was an incredible drive for both of those, but in the end, Rafe Slate, he just kept his car clean. He didn't hit anybody, I don't think. And it's the cleanest car on the Speedway right now. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to see that how damaged some of these vehicles are, but how clean his look. And man, when you're up front and you're just able to pull away, and they're able, and he just starts pulling away, I think that's really cool for that driver to know that, you know, just he was just a lot faster than everyone behind him, and they just kept, you know, wrecking. And sometimes you just got to be the right place, right time, and that's exactly what he did.
And we'll be down in victory lane in just a moment. First, let's chat. We'll chat with him in a moment, rather. First, we'll take a look top to bottom at your full race results for the second Chargers Division feature on the evening. And it is a first win for Rafe Slade, who comes home with the checkered flag tonight, and Jeremy Adams, who was in second at the cross flags, and at that moment looked like he was in a spot to challenge for the race win in this thing. Involved in an accident, a good recovery job by both he, P2, and Tanner Cook in third to come home with some solid finishing positions in some pretty torn up race cars. Behind them, Jacob Porter will come home in fifth spot, just behind Killo, who was fourth.
Yeah, and then in the sixth position is Chris Patton, Robbie Bunnan, and Richard Reagan, finishing out the 6th, 7th, and 8th positions tonight.
Look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results. Let's chat with the driver of the number 8 machine, though. Rafe Slade is your race winner tonight from the Myrtle Beach Speedway in the Chargers Division. Rafe, congratulations on this win. The invert had you line up to the inside of row 2 at the start of this thing. At that moment, kind of give it a look at the guys around you, starting behind Patton and in front of Cook and Reagan, who were just behind you. Did you feel like this one was going to be the opportunity for you to break through?
I feel like I had an opportunity. I wasn't sure whether it was going to be one of your average races, or either it's Matt Cooker or Coker or Jeremy Adams up there. So I was definitely actually waiting for them to catch up, and it just never happened. I saw them battling back there, and I come to the 2 to go. I just kind of realized that there really wasn't much that they could do.
Knowing that those guys were behind you, and I think that a big part of this is because of the invert, knowing that the drivers behind you are faster, just based on, you know, the times that they saw in the opening race of this one. Adams obviously taking home the win, and as he was closing in, did that make you almost push the car harder than you would have liked earlier on, just thinking, you know, I can't really try to save the car and battle, and the idea would be that your best bet is to not save, to engage in a late race battle with them, and it would just be to get out in front and avoid a situation like that entirely?
Yeah, that was pretty much the plan. I knew I had to do that. I mean, the track was, and the setup was definitely a lot more stable at night than it was during the day, and I knew this setup was kind of built for night, so I figured I had a better chance there, because earlier it was just really loose, almost undrivable.
I know that it's been many a hard-fought weeks, and as you said, we've seen a lot of races this season won by Matt Cuckers, Jerry Adamses, and Christian Petersons, and tonight you get the race win in this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, so we want to congratulate you on that and give you an opportunity for the sponsors or the shout-outs, everybody who powers that number 8 Chevy.
Yep, I've got to thank, number 1, God, for getting me here, and got to thank Solid Rock Performance and RTI Group, and FMI Racing, and Total Lubricants, and you guys for putting this stream on.
We appreciate you lending some time to chat with us here post-race. Congratulations on the win once more, and hopefully for you guys it's the first of many that come, and we'll have many more opportunities to chat as this season goes on.
Yeah, that's the plan. Thank you, guys.
It's your Chargers Division race number 2 winner tonight from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Rafe Slade, first win on Wednesday nights in the Solid Rock Performance Chevrolet late model, coming out on top here tonight, our second time around. So he successfully denies Jerry Adams the back-to-back. One driver still with an opportunity to do that, and that is Tommy Ryan. He won the mini stocks earlier on this evening, and we have just 20 laps to go in week 5 of this Myrtle Beach Simulation Series presented by the Championship Esports Association. So when we come back, the final green and checkered flag on the night from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
The Cars Tour crowns champions at South Boston Speedway on Saturday, October 14th. Bring the entire family to enjoy one last night of action-packed racing this summer. Can drivers for Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. emerge with a championship? There's only one way to find out. Advance tickets start at only $10 and kids 6 and under are free. Don't miss the Cars Tour Sobo 250 on Saturday, October 14th. For more information, visit carsracingtour.com.
And as we welcome you back to the Myrtle Beach Speedway, 5 feature races have now come and gone, and we reach the pinnacle of tonight's event, the final race, the second mini stock division race on the evening. Saw Tommy Ryan take home a win in these a little bit earlier tonight when the sun was still out, and now under the lights. We will see if his fellow competitors can challenge him for a win, or if Ryan can double them up. Adams was not able to double up the Chargers, so Ryan looking for bragging rights, Coop, if he can do so here.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers out here through the field. You know, we've got the largest field for these MX-5. We've got some guys that have come a bit later tonight to enjoy some of the fun, and I think everyone's got a little bit of bragging rights when it comes down to it. You know, Tommy Ryan definitely wants to get back up there, and you know, I think since it's the last race of the night, I think it's kind of like having the last word. If you win this race, you know, you kind of have, or the last laugh, I should say. That's definitely what these guys have at least a little bit on mind. Jody Green looks like he'll start on pole for this race, and you know, for these guys, these cars did drive a little bit out of hand for that first race in the day. I bet you, just like the rest of them, they'll probably tighten up a bit here in the corners.
Let's head trackside and take a look at the starting grid as it was in the most recent race as well in the Chargers, because it is a dual main event on the evening. Qualifying for the second race is determined based on a random invert from the finishing positions earlier. Magic number for this one is 8. So the top 8 are inverted, which means that Jody Green, who came home in that spot, the first one, starts on pole for tonight's final 20-lap dash to the end, with Richard Reagan Jr. rolling off in second. Joshua King and Randy Oakham going to be third and fourth. They make up row number 2, and Matthew Tucker will start 5th.
Starting in the 6th position is DJ Beverly, and you've got Ricky Harden starting 7th, Tommy Ryan starting 8th, and you've got David Messier in the 9th position, with Tanner Cook starting in the 10th position.
That's everybody top to bottom in your LSRTV starting grid. So the question that we asked moments ago in the Chargers was, could Adams march for the back to the front with 7th to 2nd? Was it a position to challenge for the race win? Was it an accident which basically took him out of contention, still got a P2? So these cars are very different, and it's a lot harder to separate and pull away from folks in these MX-5s, Coupe. And Ryan looking to do the double feature win tonight for the outside of row 4.
Yeah, final race of the night, gosh, I did it again. Final race under the lights tonight, and we'll kick this one off with, we'll kick this one off 25 laps, or 20 actually, 20 laps to go. So it'll be another short one to go here as we're about to get to green.
We were talking a little bit about those brake lights in the earlier race tonight. Lights are on, but you can definitely see how they navigate the corner in this one. 20 laps to go tonight as we go racing once more in the mini stocks. Jody Green leads to turn number 1 safely in front of King Idioka, who battle for 2nd. Topside in favor of the 4.
Yeah, look how all over the place these guys are, and I'd like to mention that a lot of these guys have some custom paint schemes which actually have their numbers bigger on the doors, and some of them are a little bit more tasteful than others. And Tommy Ryan is going to be involved in an accident on the front straightaway. 15 is going to go around.
Spinning is the 50 to Harden, is the only driver around. He will straighten it back out, and no caution. We are going to stay green. Look at the fight for 2nd. Look at this, 3 wide for 3rd. To the inside, here comes DJ Beverly. In the middle is Matthew Tucker. Outside is the 4 Randy Ocum, and a 43 wants none of that.
Oh yeah, he got on the brakes real early and real hard as well. And Tanner Cook, he was going to try and take advantage of whatever happened there, and he actually had to kind of check up a bit too with those guys in front of him. And man, these cars are all over the place. They're real tail happy, but they're also extremely in control in the front of the car. It's whenever it gets completely out of shape that you start seeing issues. But the rear ends are still pretty light enough that they don't get too out of shape if you can get some good forward buy. Look at the 4 car almost trying to go for a crossover move on the 43 as they're rounding lap number 4, coming to lap number 5. Jody Green's got a good sizable lead right now.
And if you're wondering where Tommy Ryan is, he's struggling to catch up because he got damage on the opening lap of this race, and he's only been able to pick up 1 spot since then. He's in 7th position. You can see that yellow Mazda starting to join into the battle up here, but with noticeable left front damage that appears to be hindering him a little bit.
Yeah, and for him to come back and try and go for it, it's pretty cool to see that, you know, he's not going to let that really get to him that much. He's got to come back, and oh, look at Tanner Cook. He may not be able to save this one. He's going to go around the access
on pit
road, and he's going to have to go slow. Goes right by the pace car, and that's going to be a difficult one to recover from.
And it is a tricky pit road here. That's not actually the pit lane at which there's any pit stalls, but I do believe pit road speed's still enforced down there. I'm not positive, but he did have to slow down and get back going. Again, he saves the car, but it takes him out for all intended purposes at a competition in this one. That just means, though, that's 1 less position for some of the guys up front to have to worry about. Side by side for 3rd, Beverly and Tucker go at it, and it's a roadblock right now. The 43 can't find a way by.
And DJ Beverly's absolutely on a mission right now. 6th to 2nd right now, and he's only got 1 more guy to get before he gets to the lead. And man, that number 42 is absolutely going for it, and I think he'll have a chance at this race lead right now if he continues to be on the same pace. Knocks that lead down to 0.3 of a second, and we'll definitely be watching him as it continues. Although we do have a battle for the top 5 position. Looks like, or yeah, for 4th position, Joshua King's still trying to hold off Tommy Ryan, but it is not the one that matters. DJ Beverly is right on the doorstep of Jody Green. When will he make the move with 11 laps to go?
It'll be cross flags this time by. Jody Green finds himself under attack, but there's little you can do to stop the charge from DJ Beverly to the outside of the racetrack, side by side for the point. 42 is not going to get a chance. Caution flag.
Oh wow, he was so close to getting it right there, and what a shame. But it's going to be a little bit of looks like a little bit of action on the backstretch with the number 35. So that's what's going to cause that caution.
The caution flag is going to come out on that one, and means we hit the reset button. Beverly, not all hope is going to be lost. The driver of the 42 machine going to be in perfect position to just restart from that number 2 spot anyhow, and we'll be right up there on the front row with Jody Green. The bad news, I think, more so is for the 13. You would think that maybe the yellow kind of bailed him out there, but now not only is he going to have to deal with Beverly, but he's going to have to deal with Tucker there and Tommy Ryan up to 4th, despite the damage is not out of this thing yet.
No, most definitely. He's right there, and I think he's going to, I think with 1 to go as they come by the stripe, I think it's any man's game at this point. You know, Jody Green still got himself in a good position to keep the lead, to get a good start on these guys, and DJ Beverly's absolutely fast, and then you've got Matthew Tucker right behind them as they look like they'll split the pace car evenly. You know, 1s and 3 on the outside, and then 2 and 4 on the, in the inside, and you got the other guys on the outside. And I think that any of these guys in the top 4, really, maybe Randy Yoakum as well, still have a chance at getting this. We're still under 10 laps to go, though.
Yeah, 13 going to be completed. I think that puts us right at 7 laps to go. This could be it. Could be the final restart on the night. Jody Green, the objective, I think, has to be to get out in front of the 42 and hope that the scrap ends up for second and not for your spot. Here they come at 4. Green flag back in the air. Thought that Tucker was going to get a good bite. Was side by side with Beverly, but can't maintain it. The 42 clear for second and now has his sights set on trying to get back up front as Tucker stays 3rd and Ryan stays 4th.
They go 3 wide behind him, but it's all the guys at the front that matter, and it looks like there is contact, but DJ Beverly still trying to get to the number 13. Didn't get a good exit right there as Matthew Tucker also is under fire by Tommy Wright on the outside.
Ryan trying to do something outside of the racetrack may be his only option. The car's already got damaged, so there's no reason to be a little bit shy of using the bumper, and that battle for 3rd is going to resume as the 6 tries to go high. But for Beverly, you gotta think, you gotta find the speed. The 42 came charging up to the front at the end of the last green flag stretch and just doesn't have that speed anymore.
No, but I think give it a few laps and we'll definitely see that. And Tucker as well, I think he'll get some speed as well. As his run goes on, Beverly's all over the back bumper of Jody Green, and I think as those two, maybe they're side by side right here, maybe not. I know Jody Green will have the advantage going into the turn. You can see him almost power slide it down in turn number 1, but Beverly is having an advantage. He's going to be on the outside. Here's the battle for the lead right here coming into turn number 3.
The 13's going to go high, try to squeeze the 42 up top, but he can't forget about Tucker right there. Do not leave the inside open, side by side. That time coming to 3 laps to go. The 13 still in front with the 42 challenging. It could be a 4-way fight. Ryan not out of it yet. Do they get physical coming to 2 to go?
I think it might actually happen whether they want to or not, and Ryan's got himself one of the fastest cars on this circuit, if not the fastest. He was the fastest last time by, and you've got to think he won that last race and was almost flawless throughout the whole thing. And 2 laps to go, he might have it. It's going to be a run to the finish as DJ Beverly has almost cleared. Oh, he pinched him down in the turn number 4.
Chopped him and got him. DJ Beverly to the race lead at 2 laps to go. Now Green's going to have to get aggressive. 13, though, really doesn't throw it in that time. And he's going to be a car length shy. Does he go for the last-ditched effort in turn number 3? DJ Beverly out in front of the field in the 42, and he will live to tell the tale about it. Checkered flag and a mini stock win.
Wow, that was incredible. At the right moment, DJ Beverly started going to the outside and just made it happen, really. He just started to inch up and kept on creeping and got it eventually. And I think that was one of the coolest ways to get that W. And, you know, I don't even know if he's going to go to the victory lane. I don't think he's going to go to victory lane. He's so excited.
Parked it, night's done. That also, if we talk about what we just saw moments ago in the Chargers division with Slate, means back-to-back first-time series winners to close out the night. Not bad.
Oh, not at all. It shows you the diversity of the talent in the series, that these guys are really just I think when they're handed something like maybe good track position, they really make it work. And DJ Beverly had 6th place to start off with, and he just ran up the racetrack and just ran him down. And Jody Green still got himself a good finish as well by finishing 2nd. These guys all over the place had good races. Of course, the guys in the back that definitely wanted it to look a little bit different, got caught up in a couple of incidents, but I think each one and every single one of them had a really good run, at least at some point in the race.
And we'll let you know where everybody came home as we look top to bottom at your LSRTV full race results for tonight's 2nd mini stock feature on the evening, and final one as well for week number 5 of action. DJ Beverly from 6th position. Again, that means that car was 3rd best earlier tonight, so there's no doubt that there was the speed there, but Beverly executed after a caution and a chop-off pass at 2 laps to go to take first career win in this championship. Esports Association Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. Jody Green started from pole, and for having an 8th place finish earlier on tonight, really made the best of it and put up a hell of a fight. Just not enough when it was all said and done. Ends up with a P2 finish. Tommy Ryan does come up shy of going back-to-back, but it is a fantastic points night for him in the Mini Stock Championship. Coming home P3, Matthew Tucker just behind in 4th, and Randy Yoakum in 5th.
Finishing out in the 6th position is Ricky Harden, and David Messier finishes tonight 7th. Richard Reagan, he came back into the next race after having a mechanical failure in the last one. He finishes 8th, and then Joshua King finishes 9th, and Tanner Cook finishes dead last.
And I believe now we are caught up with the driver of the number 42 machine, DJ Beverly, your winner tonight in the mini stocks. DJ, you got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, congratulations on this win. The invert had you guys pretty deep in the pack. They were back at about P6, worked your way up front, and right at the halfway point in this very short 20-lap race, you came charging up on Jody Green, and a caution came out. And it took you a couple of laps to get back going once we went back underway, but you executed it when it mattered the most at a very nice pass there in turn 3 at 2 to go.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. You got to keep these things wound up like a weed eater. So, I knew Jody was going to protect the bottom, and he's going to give me that high side. So it was a lot of fun. I love racing with Jody.
What's it like in these mini stocks? Obviously, you guys had a competitive race car earlier today when the sun was out in the first main event, and then especially in this second one, obviously very different than the likes of the super lights and the straight stocks and the legends and everything else that we've seen, because the race cars that we're using, these Mazdas, not really built for oval racing, and they look like a handful out there, and that really didn't scare you, though a lot of folks struggling with the handling really didn't want to commit to drive it in hard to the outside. Is maybe that why you chose the top as opposed to the bottom?
I ain't had no choice. I tell you, man, you take 50 mile an hour off of these cars from the super late models and stuff, and probably go, and you're having 50 times more fun. So I don't know, it's just fun, man. We have a blast running these cars.
And that final race tonight, late race restart, your move at 2 laps to go was excited for us as well, topside. So we want to congratulate you on getting this win in the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series. You guys have had many a good run so far this season, and we're happy to see that 42 machine find the success that I think that you guys deserve. And we have you down here in Victory Lane, the sponsors and the shout-outs. Anybody that you want to say hi to?
Hey, everybody watching, man. It's a lot of fun. Get out here and get your wheel, get our racing. Let's get at it.
42 was up to the challenge tonight, and DJ Beverly is your winner for week number 5. DJ, I appreciate you jumping in here and chatting with us. Again, congratulations on this win, and we said the same thing to Rafe when we just talked with him, as he also got his first career win just moments ago in the Chargers. That congratulations on the win tonight as well, but also best of luck going forward, and we hope that we have many more opportunities to chat with you the rest of the year.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope I can get one in that super late model or the trucks or something. But thanks to Kyle for putting on a good show.
We will see some of those top divisions return in 2 weeks' time, but in the support series night, if you will, love these mini stocks, and DJ Beverly gets a first career win. And Coop, as the night started off, Jeremy Adams gets a win in a series that he leads the points in now. Tommy Ryan gets a win in the series that he leads the points in now. Jeremy Adams, you know the deal, gets a win in the series that he leads the points in, and it looked like, well, it was not going to be like a couple of weeks ago with Cucker sweeping the night, that the series veterans, and when I say series, I don't mean the overarching Myrtle Beach Simulation series, but the individual series, those guys really had a lock on things, and a pleasant surprise courtesy of the invert, courtesy of a couple of good breaks here and there, but also fantastic racing at both the Chargers and mini stocks to get us 2 first-time winners.
Yeah, that was really cool to see, and I think, you know, we're going to see first-time winners all throughout the season, and we saw it, you know, I think it'd be 4 weeks ago, you know, 2 weeks ago, a different story, and I think that will be something that's really difficult to happen again. Definitely not out of the question, but for having these first-time winners, it's really, I think they're just showing that they can be up there, given the opportunity, and they don't have to be the fastest, but they definitely are sometimes the most strategic, and this the most consistent. And you know, we saw that today. We saw that with both of our first-time winners, and if they can do that, then they can start working on speed. And I bet you some of those guys will be up there once they can start working on those things.
And not only do you have, obviously, different drivers here and there in each event week in and week out, also some of these events fall in the daytime, like the Legends cars we saw tonight were under the lights. The first time, or the only time we had seen them so far to this point, had been, you know, under daytime conditions in the first race of the season. But also, I think the big thing tonight, and DJ was kind of talking about it there, typically the main event, if you will, quote-unquote, is either super late models or trucks, and we didn't have that tonight. And I kind of enjoyed the little bit of a change of pace. Happy to have the Legends back with us. Happy to have one of my favorite series, these mini stocks, back on track once more. And things will continue to change as this season works on. It is not going to be like this throughout, I promise you. We are going to have the U cars back in 1 week's time, as well as the obviously the super trucks and the late model stocks as well. That's all going to be coming at you in a week's time. But tonight, a little nice change of pace having these other divisions.
Yeah, with the change of pace, you know, you'll see a lot more close racing, and I think that makes it really exciting. In particular, that you've got you know, you got the ability to use your car against their car if you really feel like it. We saw that between Tanner Cook and Jeremy Adams. That was a heck of a lot of fun just to watch them beat and bang, and not only spinning each other out, but also afterwards continue to just race hard as it was before. And I think we see more of that as the weeks keep going. They'll know what they can and can't get away with, and seeing us to fight the way we did in a lot of other battles, included, use a lot of physical aspects of the car, and we'll see that more often, I think, as the weeks go on, and tonight definitely was not an exception.
And this does round out tonight's coverage for the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series, but the season is far from over. Action going to continue all the way through February of 2018, so no worries. This series will be back, and I believe it'll be back right here on LSRTV at iRacing Live next week. Before we talk about stuff upcoming, though, there is still plenty of sim racing action coming up on iRacing Live at LSRTV, your home for sim racing this week. Tomorrow night, the Upstate Racing League is with us at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Friday, the Super Speedway Cup Series on. Same time, same place at 9 o'clock. And on Saturday, a special event, the 2001 Alabama 500. It's K&N cars at Talladega Super Speedway. You are not going to want to miss that one. That special event takes place at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. If we would like a full outlook at our upcoming broadcast schedule, you can find that online by logging on to www.livesimracing.com. And also by keeping up to date with us on social media. On Twitter, that's at LSRTV. We only have 140 characters so far, not at 280 yet. And on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official. But until next time, the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series returns. We want to thank you for joining us tonight for week number 5 and congratulate all our race winners: Jeremy Adams, Tommy Ryan, Christian Peterson, Rafe Slate, and DJ Beverly. 5 different winners in 6 races, including 2 first-timers. Was a fantastic night of action, and we hope to see you when this series returns in 1 week's time. But on behalf of everybody at Lifestyle Racing LLC, for the folks behind the scenes, for Laura Lawson, Daniel Lyon, everybody who makes it happen topside, night in and night out, and of course for your team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Austin Coop, and our producer, Cisco Scaramuza, want to thank you for joining us, and we will see you when the Myrtle Beach Simulation Series continues on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Until next time, good night.